Hey, it's your boy Mitro reporting in from Benchikiti Park here in Bangkok, and I want to say that I'm over 21 weeks sober from alcohol and cannabis. And I want to just say that recently I heard in a podcast that there's a cure for addiction, but it only works one day at a time, which is so true. You can only take it one day at a time and focus on the task and tasks at hand and focus on the present moment and what you can do in that present moment, one day at a time. It's through the actions we take and the decisions we make that shape our future selves and shape our outcomes and our destinies.
I could tell you every brain area and I teach neuroanatomy to medical students, but when I started seeing the data on the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, I was like, whoa, this is interesting.
Yep.
And all the data point to the fact that we can build this area up.
Yep.
But that as quickly as we build it up, if we don't continue to invest in things that are hard for us, that we don't want to do, that's the part that feels so Goggin-esque to me, that we don't want to do. Mm-hmm. Like if you love the ice bath, I love the ice bath, and you go from 1 minute to 10 minutes, guess what? Your anterior mid-cingulate cortex did not grow.
None.
But if you hate the cold water, if you're afraid of drowning and you get into water and put your head under, then your anterior mid and survive, then the anterior mid-cingulate cortex gets bigger. But if you don't do it the next day, or if you do it the next day and you enjoy it, because hey, I did it yesterday, woohoo, happy me, Merry Christmas, as you would say.
Merry Christmas.
Guess what? The anterior mid-cingulate cortex shrinks again.
Yep.
To me, this is one of the most important discoveries that neuroscience has ever made, because it's that I don't want to do something, but do it anyway.
That's right.
That grows this area. And it's almost like I have a friend, he's been sober 30 years from alcohol. And he always says, the amazing thing about addiction is there's a cure. The problem is it only works one day at a time.
Yep.
So I've been listening to the Andrew Huberman Podcast, specifically with David Goggins, as I begin my fitness routine again. I've been back in the gym 4 out of 5 days of the week. Today will be my 5th day in a row. And so I'm back in the fitness program, and I'm just changing up my lifestyle and my routine. And that's how I've been able to stay content with my sobriety. Because with my I Am Sober app, I hear a lot of people say, I read some of the comments there, but I try not to get too engaged in social media, right? Because I don't want other people's what you consume is what's going to shape your mind. I don't want other people's negative thoughts to pour into my own. But some people are still depressed. Some people are still saying, oh, I'm sober. It's been 150 days, but my life still sucks. I miss drinking and this and that. But I don't feel like they're taking the proper action, the proper steps, and creating the proper foundation and creating the proper coping mechanisms that they need in order to move forward. Because life isn't about feeling happy all the time. There's going to be shitty moments, and it's by pushing through these poor moments and the times that you're down bad that is ultimately going to shape you for the future. Because when you transcend these negative thought patterns, when you transcend these negative activities or habits or vices that you have, that's when you experience true personal growth. That's when you grow as a person. That's when you build resilience. That's when you build better, you build better coping mechanisms going forward into the future, so that you can tackle the more problems that life's inevitably going to throw at you, because problems never end. And through the Andrew Huberman Podcast, he mentioned that we have 2 parts of the brain. Well, there's 2 of these in the brain. It's called the mid-singular angular cortex. And it's through doing activities that you don't necessarily like that they grow. So say you don't like going to the gym, say you don't like reading books, for example, the book that I'm about to quote to you guys, say you don't like studying a certain subject. It's by forcing yourself to do these activities that you don't like that will increase the size of your mid-singular angular cortex, which is only going to further increase your willpower.
You're fucking in your head. So how do you do that? We don't have enough of these conversations about the real conversation that every human being is having. And they have no idea how to get out of it, but they do. It's that shit right there, man. You gotta build your will. How do you build your will? Exactly what you said, man. Exactly what you said.
Well, I feel like knowing the name of something, anterior mid-cingulate cortex, doesn't fundamentally change us. But one thing I like about biology is that willpower, if somebody feels they don't have it, feels like this thing that other people have, but everybody, unless they're brain damaged, like a hole through their head, has two anterior mid-cingulate cortex, one on each side of their brain. Everyone has one. They have two. So I feel like it's just a question of opening the portal. And the portal, I'm going to say it 10 times and forgive me, is I think people go, oh, I do hard things. I do sets to failure, and then I do forced reps. I love training with weights. I love doing sets to failure. I even like forced reps. But guess what? I like forced reps. So I'll tell you, they don't build my anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Because I like to do it.
That's right.
Anything you like to do is not going to enhance this aspect of willpower. And it seems so obvious once you hear it. You kind of go, oh yeah, of course. But I think you really close that loop for people when you share what you're sharing today and what you've shared elsewhere before as well, when you're trying to explain the friction is the critical ingredient.
Right.
And I think people think, oh, if it's effort, well, then I'm getting better. That's part of it, necessary but not sufficient, as we say in science. But the suck part, the being haunted, the stick, they're really unpleasant terms.
Very.
These are probably the most unpleasant terms we've ever used on this podcast.
Very.
Those are the levers. Those are the gears. And without those, this thing that you're talking about, David Goggins, as a verb.
Right.
You know, I'd sometimes make the joke, but it's not a joke.
Right.
Goggins is a name and it's a verb. People go, I'm going to Goggins that.
Right.
Right. But that's, I think, again, I'm not a psychologist, but I think that's what you're talking about. The stick, the friction, being haunted. It's the suck part that grows this anterior mid-cingulate cortex.
So now you know why there's so many people that fail in this world to figure out their purpose in life. Where do I go? Because to grow that, while you may not look like me, how my daily life looks, it don't look fun. Don't look fun. So it's a choice that people have to make in life. But what's so funny about it is even the richest of rich, who have everything, they always ask me this question. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't feel like I'm missing shit. I don't have what you all have, but you'll never in my life hear me tell you I'm missing something. And everybody is. They're missing this feeling. I found it a long time ago. I found it right there in that willpower thing. When you're nothing, and change yourself into something like me, you call it happiness, peace, whatever the fuck you want to call it, people are missing exactly what went on with David Goggins. Why don't you smile? I do. But I figured something out. That's why you'll never hear me say I'm missing something. I found it years ago. You find it in the suck. You find it in the suck, and you find it repeatedly in the suck to the point where you know exactly who you are. Most people are missing something because they don't know who they are. They never examine themselves. They've never done this experiment on themselves. The lab rat, we're all lab rats, but you're also the scientist. You create your own self. Most people are missing something because there's so much trapped in there. I don't even want to say potential. I think that's a word used out too much too. There's so much in you that God or wherever the hell you believe in, or if you're an atheist, in you that you have not unlocked, that you walk around with this gorgeous wife or great husband and all this money. You're like, God, I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah, because it's about 75% of you is still fucking in there. Still chained up because you just didn't want to find your willpower. Didn't want to find your soul, your will, your heart, your determination, your guts, your courage. And what that looks like, it looks scary. Like your little scary lab I went in. Scary. To wake up every day and say, I'm stupid, but I want to figure out a way to be smarter. Versus saying, man, I just can't do that. So you limit this box. So your box becomes so small of things you can do. My box wasn't even a box. It was a fucking little pinhole. And then through examining myself, getting some willpower, some courage, it became bigger than this table. But that's what we all do. That's why I wanted to come here today and talk to you about real shit. Not no fucking like hacks. There's no hacks, bro. It's you against you. You against you. And if you misunderstand that, you have a real problem. A real problem. I can understand you misunderstand me running down the street, shirt off, fuck this, no, yeah. I can get it. I get it. If you misunderstand what I'm saying right now today, the problem is you.
Further increase your willpower and further shape your brain, because we all have the power of neuroplasticity. We're not stuck in the same state unless you're stuck doing the same things. And like I have always said, you can't expect different results by doing the same habits. If you quit alcohol, if you quit any addiction, any substance, now I've recently quit benzodiazepines as well, you have to change your routines, you have to change the way you look at things, and you have to change your daily habits, because you can't be the same person and expect different results. Just life doesn't work that way. And I want to read 2 passages from this book that explains it a little bit better. But what determines your success isn't what you want to enjoy. The relevant question is, what pain do you want to sustain? The path to happiness is a path full of shit heaps and shame. You have to choose something. You can't have a pain-free life. It can't be all roses and unicorns all the time. Pleasure, the easy question. Pleasure is the easy question. And pretty much all of us have a similar answer. The more interesting question is the pain. What is the pain that you want to sustain? That's the hard question that matters. That's the question that will actually get you somewhere. It's a question that can change perspective, a life. It's what makes me, me, and you, you. It's what defines us and separates us and ultimately brings us together. And there's another passage from a book that I'm currently reading is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Mason. And this is chapter 2, Happiness is a Problem. Well, it's the end of the chapter, but who you are is defined by what you're willing to struggle for. People who enjoy the struggles of the gym are the ones who run triathlons and have chiseled abs and can bench press a small house. People who enjoy long work weeks and the politics of the corporate ladder are the ones who fly to the top of it. People who enjoy the stresses and uncertainties of the starving artist lifestyle are ultimately the ones who live it and make it. This is not about willpower or grit. This is not about admonishment of no pain, no gain. This is the most simple and basic component of life. Our struggle determines our successes. Our problems birth our happiness, along with slightly better, slightly upgraded problems. See, it's a never-ending upward spiral, and if you think at any point you're allowed to stop climbing, I'm afraid you're missing the point, because the joy is in the climb itself. And that's, as the saying goes, it's about the journey, it's not about the destination. With addiction, it's a never-ending struggle. It's always going to be a battle. Like I said, I recently heard in a podcast there's a cure, but it only works one day at a time. So one day at a time, change your habits. If you're someone who struggles with any form of addiction, or you just want to improve your life, make small, gradual changes in tiny increments. I recommend reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about becoming 1% better each and every day, 1% better than you were the day before, making small, gradual, incrementally changes to your day, to your routine, so that it doesn't overwhelm you and you don't burn out and you don't give up. When you adopt a new habit, make it so easy for yourself that you simply can't say no and you simply can't resist doing it. Take going to the gym, for example. If you want to go to the gym and you're not someone who's into fitness, maybe just go for 15 minutes a day when you first start. Then the next week increase it to 20 minutes or increase it by 25, however much you can handle. Or if you're someone who doesn't like reading, maybe just try reading 10 pages a day. 10 pages in one given day. Then maybe try reading 10 pages for 1 week, and then the next week you increase that incrementally to 15 pages a day. Same with meditation. Another mindfulness practice. When I first started, personally, I only meditated 3 minutes every day. Then the next week I increased it to 5 minutes, and the next week I increased it to 10 minutes, and the next week I increased it to 15 minutes, all the way until I made it to 30 minutes a day. Now I'm currently meditating again at 10 minutes a day because I fell off that habit, but I'm gradually making incremental changes in my life and in my routines that are creating the profound changes that are going to come in the future. Because it's about being consistent with these mindful and positive habits that are going to compound and eventually change the person that you are. And it's through what you consume, it's through the media you consume, the content you consume, even your diet, which plays such a significant impact in our lives, because our unconscious mind controls a lot more than what we think it does. So it's what we feed our minds with that will also help determine and shape who we are as individuals.
The anterior mid-cingulate cortex, to me, when I learned about it, two things went off in my head. Whoa, this is super interesting. And two, I got to tell David Goggins about this. And I waited until now to tell you because I felt like, for obvious reasons, I wanted to tell you and I wanted to tell you here.
Well, I love that because that's how I've lived my entire life. I don't know anything about that. But people go, man, you have such a strong will. It's something that you build. Like, I never forget, I was on a podcast one time, and this dude goes, you were blessed with a strong mind. Like, the hell are you talking about? It's blessed with a strong mind. That's something that you have to develop. You develop that over years, decades of suffering and going back into the suffer. That's why a lot of people who graduate Navy SEAL training, they want to know, like, I talk about it very openly all the time. A lot of guys don't want to go back into that water. They want to go back into the hard stuff. And maybe not anything hard in life. Once you get through it, it's like you become a POW. Like, how many POWs want to go back to POW camp? None. When something sucks so bad in life, this is on this that we're talking about now, very few people want to go back. They're happy they graduated. I realized I'm the same way. I don't want to go back. I have to go back. I must go back because that is exactly where all the knowledge of my life exists, was back there and what you're talking about. Well, I didn't know anything about this, but how I grew a will was constantly doing these things to now, it's just life. I wake up, while it still sucks, it's just life. You don't sit back and like, oh my God, like I have days I don't want to do it, but I know I'm going to do it. I know from years of just doing it. So that's beautiful. And this is why I came on here with you today. And I'm glad that you're talking about this because human beings need to hear this. They need to stop hearing these hacks on this and that. There's no fucking hack, bro. There's no fucking hack. Yeah, you may this and that and saunas and all this shit it's great. There is no fucking life hack. To grow that thing, how do you grow it? Do it and do it and do it and do it. That's the hack. The hack is gonna fucking suck. And that's what I realized. Life, that's why I wanted to come on here today. I didn't want to come on here and talk about no fucking passion and purpose and how to get the fuck out of bed and how to hit a fucking alarm clock and all this catchphrase bullshit. Because that wasn't how I lived. I woke up like every human being does and goes, fuck, man, I'm a fucking piece of shit today. How the hell is this going to work out for me? And you fight that. You don't override it. There's no override button. It's the conversation in your in your head. So how do you do that? We don't have enough of these conversations about the real conversation that every human being is having. And they have no idea how to get out of it, but they do. It's that shit right there, man. You gotta build your will. How do you build your will? Exactly what you said, man.
So use every opportunity and every action, every decision, use that as fuel to fuel your unconscious mind into believing that you can do it, because every one of us really can. Because every one of us has such unlimited potential to change, but it's up to us to stop sleeping on ourselves and having these misguided thoughts or intrusive thoughts that sometimes stray us and veer us off the path of success, off the path of progress. And that's really the message for today, is to choose the path that is least comfortable, because that's where you experience true growth and true personal growth. And it's also recently, since I've deleted social media, that I've just been a lot more distraction free. I'm not comparing my life to other people. I'm not comparing my life to anyone's. I'm just taking it day by day, living in the present moment. And deleting social media has probably been one of the most profound things that I've done this year, because it's really truly allowed me to look inward. I used to be someone who habitually took out his phone and would scroll on Instagram or TikTok reels and this and that, and then ask myself, oh, why is this person getting this many likes? Or I was always in a state of constant comparison, and I was so unhealthy. And social media is one of the most detrimental things to our society in our current day, especially Instagram, but I'm not even gonna get started on that. That's a topic for another video. But I just want to end this video off with, because it's unscripted, so I'm kind of all over the place. Every decision you make, every action you take is a vote for a future self. Remember, gradual, incremental changes throughout the day, every single day, and stay consistent, because consistency compounds, and that's what ultimately is going to change you. Take the path least trodden and take the path with the most discomfort, because it's only by putting yourself in uncomfortable situations that you're going to grow. You have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's the message for today. Learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's embracing our pain and then making the right decisions based off of that, and overcoming these obstacles that ultimately shape us into the individuals who we are going to become. And it's always about striving forward. Like I always said, fall down 7 times, stand up 8. Ancient Japanese proverb. That's what you have to do. So remember to stop sleeping on yourself and unlock your potential. Everyone has it. It's just up to you to take the actions to change. Because at the end of the day, when nobody else is going to come and save you, so you have to take the action to change. So make the correct decisions and make the correct actions every single day. Some days you're going to have off days, and that's completely okay. But remember to always get up, fall down 7 times, stand up 8, and then continue striving forward, continue making progress, because that is the only way your life is going to drastically change. Anyways, that's all I have to say for this video. Your boy Mitra out. Peace. Remember to love yourself.
Bands or baby, serve that daily. Have a little look, ears tongue get wavy. Need some food, hanging out crazy. Same tracksuits, I'm hanging out daily. Come out, look at the smell. Leaving the crib, but you'll be back in a bit.